USA Canada game. And while we do that, we are finishing up the driver's side of the hood on the Lamborghini project vehicle. Now, waiting as people start getting in the stream. I'll get my safety goggles, I'll get my gloves, and this is the piece we got to finish putting in over here. So this should weld in just like this. And we'll get that all set to go. Now, normally, my friends from Canada, and by the way, I'm in Buffalo, so Canada is like just that way behind Canada, or behind the camera. Well, we're getting ready for the big game where the USA is going to beat Canada in men's hockey in the Olympics. I just wanted to give a shout out to my Canadian friends that normally we're friendly, but right now for the next couple hours, we can't be friends. I'm sorry. And hopefully we have a repeat of the women's team win over Canada, but you never know. You never know. When you grow up in Canada, it's my understanding that you're born with like a hockey stick in your hand. Like that's just what you do. Before I think you even take your first steps, you learn how to slap shot a hockey puck. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes there in Canada, but we'll see. What's your prediction? You can put your predictions in chat. You think Team USA or Team Canada is going to win? And I'm not going to ban anyone if you're for Team Canada, but, you know, it could happen. I'm just saying. I'm going to get this little section of the hood fixed up. I got a couple things to get ready so that I can get that to happen, and while we're waiting for people to show up in the live stream. Probably titled it wrong. That's probably why it's a slow start here, but at any rate, I'm grabbing what I need here to get going. The thing that the algorithm loves is when I start throwing sparks. So we'll start with that. We'll start grinding on the fender there. And then we'll get it ready to weld. So in order to do that, I do have my air. I got my goggles. I usually throw the sparks right to the camera because for some reason, when YouTube is picking up on it, that's the action that the algorithm likes to see. I can walk through here because they got a lot of. Probably hard to hear over the compressor. We got 20 people watching. Yesterday we had almost 5,000 people watching a live stream, which I was very excited about. Well, I could throw sparks to the camera this way. have to listen to that nonsense while we get this welded in. So yesterday on the live stream, we put this edge on the hood that goes all the way this way to give the hood the edge and the strength. Now we got to fill this part in right here. So I got the welder set up. I think everything we need to make this happen. So I'm just going to clean up that edge a little bit. We'll get this in place and we'll get welding. The sparks bring everyone out. We got 31 people here. Say hello, where are you from? Jen's here. Good morning, Jen. We got F1 over, Tarzan Warrior. What happened? We are building a custom Lamborghini. Custom Lambo. So, anyways, we got to fill this edge in. We're waiting for the USA Team Canada game to come on TV. I got a lot of friends from Canada, but can't be friends right now. So, just cleaning the edge of this. We gotta move the metal back so I can got something to plug into here. Okay. Throw some sparks here. Jen, do you believe that we had 5,000 people in the live stream yesterday? That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. That looks better. All right. Actually, I want to see this. I'm going to take a little of this edge off the top right here. Okay. Now we can start getting this in place and welding it. Just gotta make sure my ground clamp's on there. Comment down below where you're from, where you're watching from. If you're new to the chat, please click 1. Starter car. Okay, here's your guess. You gotta guess what that car was before I rebodied it. Yesterday we actually had somebody guess it right, but I don't know if they were familiar with the channel or saw the video. Oh, Jen gave it away. You're supposed to let them guess. Yes, it was. This is an ex-Buffalo police car, Crown Victoria, that I shortened in between the axle shafts. So it's not a Z28. It is a Ford Crown Victoria. I will actually probably see the hood or see under the hood. That is a Ford Crown Vic engine. you can see that. So here's what we got to do. We got to put this piece in here. In order to do that, I'm going to prop the hood up. Yesterday I used, I got a hood prop here, if I don't trip myself. I got this hood prop. Put this in place. There we go. We just gotta, the only thing I don't like, I gotta straighten this out here. This kind of, as I was manipulating that edge, it kind of folded under. I don't necessarily like that. See if I can bring that back around. Hopefully it doesn't tweak the... And I'm sorry, I forgot to shut my notifications off, so it keeps dinging. I apologize for that. We'll call that close enough. This will go right here, like so. So there's a little bit of a gap. I'm going to take out some of that. So grab the grinder again and my goggles. We just got to take a little bit. I got to take a little bit off the edge of that. You can see that we want to make that kind of more square so it matches the other part of that sheet metal. So let me get my goggles on, get the grinder again. That lends to good viewership. We got 40 people here. Thank you for the likes. So I got 11 likes already. Those are free. I appreciate that. That helps a lot. Double tap the like. That helps a lot, actually. It doesn't cost anything but a finger gesture. And, you know, hopefully not the middle finger. All right, let me read some comments while we're getting ready. 43 people here. 12 likes, thank you. Likes are free, I appreciate those. And it helps the channel out, obviously. If you're new here, click 1 in the chat, that helps. You got a Crown Vic 4.7, it's a 4.8. 4.8, I mounted twin turbochargers in the back. So it'll be twin turbocharged, intercooled. The rear mounted turbos, and it's not a kit. It's my midlife crisis project built off of a car that somebody was gonna use for a demo derby. So, but I do have a full video up on my channel. If you're new to the chat, click 1. It helps out a lot. I figured I'd do a little bit of this. I was gonna watch the USA Canada game at the Olympics. Got a lot of Canadian friends on YouTube, and you know, it's a little friendly rivalry, so I tagged some of them in this live stream just because we can't be friends for the next couple hours, right? So at any rate, we gotta fab this part of the hood together, weld it in place. Now that gap is pretty tight, so we should be good now. We should be good. The only thing is, So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut a little more out of this and then shave this down because we still have some fitment issues. I know the grinding part is the most boring part, but I feel if I work the metal a little bit more, we can get it to fit like a glove. And then when we weld it in place, it'll look the part. So. Okay, let's see if we got it. And I feel like we got like less than maybe a 32nd of an inch. I don't know how many, I should be given millimeters for our Canadian friends because I don't know that too well. So, you know, like 50 millimeters. See that save on the body hammer? It almost slid into the windshield, although the windshield is protected with cardboard. Anyways, if you're new to the channel, this is my midlife crisis Lambo project. I'm trying to keep up on, oh wow, we got a lot of chat. It's so loud, I'm sorry. I had to mute it. Just fill it with weld and grind to the bottom. I am not above that. I would do that. Rocks you. It's a 4.6. Oh, you're talking amongst yourselves. I'm sorry. Yeah, 5 liters. Obviously, there's no replacement for displacement. I did mount 2 twin turbochargers. Well, not 2 twin turbochargers. I got twin turbo in the back. I got an intercooler. So it should add a little power, at least add the sound and the look. And let's hope, now that I got this where I want it, essentially. Oh yeah, it fits like a glove, actually. still feel I could take a little bit off of here and a little out of here to make it 100. Although right there it's almost perfect, so I don't know. I think I'm getting a little bit overboard with the fitment, but 49 people here, 16 likes. Thank you for that. Likes are free, I appreciate them. Type a 1 in the comments if you've never been here before, if you've never seen this project before. We had people from all over the world yesterday here, almost 5,000 people in this live stream. That's crazy. I am very, very happy and proud of that. So, I think what we're going to do is tack in the one edge and then weld it in after. I could grind all day trying to get this to fit like 100%, but it's just the edge of the hood. You probably will never see it. Obviously, this would be the frunk on a real Lamborghini. This is just my midlife crisis project. I know some of you guys just say buy a real Lamborghini, but did the math on it, and the math wasn't mathing in terms of me buying a real Lamborghini. So here we are. Here we are. Okay, you think? I'm gonna move my hand back so I don't burn my fingers. What's not helping is the heater is blowing right into my shielding gas. So I'm just trying to stick that one edge to work this, but I don't know if you can see that. Now we'll start knocking this around. Actually, I think this is going to fit the part pretty well. Destroying my headlight bucket there, custom made. Now I'm going to do what I did yesterday, work the weld down, but I got to clean the paint off. There's still some paint remnants there giving me a the heater fan shut off too. That'll help the welding. That crackling sound, that's a good sound. When you're welding and it makes that, you know, crackling sound, means we're burning a nice strong weld then. Had the heat setting too high and I blew through the seam, so I had to fill in that gap, you know. We got 42 people watching, 23 likes. Thanks for the likes, guys and girls. We got the wonderful Jen here. Jadaville, I'm confused about the turbos. You mounted them in the rear. Yes, so P71, which is the police car version of the Crown Vics, the guys mount twin turbos underneath the cars by the rear axles. I will, if you stick around, I will show you where the turbos are in this to make it look like a real rear engine car, which it's not because the engine's under the hood. So what part of MD Cardo? I don't know what that means. Part of Maryland? Somebody here from Maryland? Oh, hello Maryland. So, we're going to finish welding this up, hopefully. All right, we're going to go right down this, weld it all in, and then hopefully you can see this. If I weld from this direction, can you see where I'm welding? You should be able to. Now we just have the seam to weld down. I think that's going to be good enough. So if you're here yesterday, you can see how this is gaining strength in the hood. See how it's flimsy? Now I got to weld cross braces on the underneath that'll take care of that, but one step at a time kind of thing. So actually what we'll do now that we have that piece in place, we can take the hood and put it down like that. Now I can just weld on the seam at the top here and hopefully make less of a mess. So probably overkill for a weld, especially that big glob that I'll have to grind off now, which I'll be doing a lot of grinding. So that makes me a grinder, I get it. I never claimed to be a welder, so. I don't know how crazy I gotta be with that. I mean, that's kind of like, it's almost enough weld that I was welding a frame in this thing, but it is what it is. Air caught. Guess it removes them from the heat of the motor, but so the reason there's no room for turbos under the hood, at least I couldn't figure out a way, because I took the hood and made it a lot lower to the ground, well, what it would have been in a Crown Vic, and the only place ergonomically that you could do it is rear mounted, and in most cases the guys mount turbos in Crown Vics, they're rear mounted, kind of like a ZR1, if you remember those back in the day, the Corvettes, or a twin turbo Callaway Vet from like 1990, rear mounted turbos. So anyways, that's how we got them in terms of the turbocharger situation. Quite honestly, I think that's probably overkill for this, but in my opinion, that piece is in. Now the things that we will have to work on is the hood latch wire that I put in. I'm going to have to reinforce, I think. But so actually the body line looks pretty good. We'll have a rubber bumper here. I'm trying to get all the body work done in the headlight area so I can put on the headlight lenses. I got a polycarbonate to put on over the head. Well, I got my accent lighting and stuff I got to finalize and vents for them, but make a long story even longer, we want to get the body work done here. I got wheel arches to finalize. We do have to rough in the back of the car. I'm waiting on figuring out the taillight situation. I know what I want for taillights. Whether or not I get them, that's another thing. Tried reaching out to the company, see if they would sponsor part of that, you know. I don't really, you know, I am monetized on this channel, but I don't make, you know, a whole lot on here. Like maybe 50 bucks a month, so it's not enough to really. Look at, I got raccoon eyes again. What the heck? I gotta clean those, huh? Those are brand new. So let me take you around. Let me take you around to where the turbos are if you're interested. I'm sorry I haven't been responding to chat much because, all right, I got that, I got that. All right, so just looking down the side of the car, right? These are Ford probe doors. Ford probe scissor doors. So they open like this. Of course, I'm trying to do this one-handed and it's not finalized, but there's that. Right now I got the stock dash in there. I do have racing seats, they're covered, and all the junk for the car is in there, so apologize for that. But the Ford probe doors, I like these handles like this. I basically moved the handle out, made flat tops of doors to match the body work. You know, they'll require some adjustment, of course. Here is the rear, that's the intercooler. This is the twin screws here. So I got the exhaust coming up through essentially the floor of the trunk. And then the exhaust will come straight out the back like a regular Lambo. So, and the boost air will go underneath the car next to the frame rail. That's the plan on that. We got 20-inch wheels. They're all brand new, although, you know, I got them years ago, so they're all dusty and dirty and probably overspray and everything else. Those are Pirelli P0s. 295. I don't remember if they're 20s or 30s. They're 911 takeoffs. So they're pretty wide on the front, and they're 305 20s or 30s Pirelli P0s on the back. I should probably know that because some people are very much into that kind of spec, but should handle pretty good. It still runs, it still moves, it still drives. This is my midlife crisis project, as I said. A lot of body work to do. I did get the LED marker lights. These are brand new. Those, I have to make the wheel arches match for the body lines. You know, I will bring out some sheet metal and fold it over along the edge of this. And that will be hopefully soon, but I really need to finalize the headlights that I've been working on forever. Those are hand-laid carbon fiber. They're dirty because all the grinding dust. I still have to sand them out, final clear them on the inside. And once the body work is finalized around the headlights, I can put the lenses on, because the lenses have to kind of be precision cut to match the whole build, to look the part. I mean, I could probably rough this in fairly easy, grind down the welds and blow some primer surfacer on it. I was going to have my neighbor, who's a body guy, tint the primer surfacer to kind of give this bright green look, and then it'd be all one color in matte green. That's probably how I'm going to do it while I'm finalizing the body work, but hopefully soon will be some semblance of complete. We're at 37 minutes. We got 25 likes. Would you believe that? If you double click the screen and liked, I really appreciate that. That helps the channel a lot. Jen's been doing an awesome job helping out. Even though I haven't been announcing these, I figured it's kind of inspiring me to come out here and do some work. So it's kind of what I got to do to get this project done. Obviously, I have this is atypical of all Lamborghinis, is this like notch out here. I had to move the hood latch back and cut into the radiator core support to get the factory Ford hood latch to work. And then from that, I have a Lamborghini badge to put here when it's all done. I got a real rear script from a Lamborghini Huracan that I got for the back. And that's pretty much where I'm at in terms of it. It does run, it does move, it does drive. I kept it that way so that it'll motivate me to keep working on it. I don't know if you can see this. It really doesn't do it justice. I have a cardboard on the windshield, so when I'm grinding, it's not melting into the glass. I don't want to. That is the factory Ford windshield. But I cut the windshield frame out of the car, cut the windshield frame out at the bottom at the firewall, and then I moved it forward to the engine. I moved it as far forward as I could till it hit the intake, and then I welded it at a 20-degree angle. That I matched off of a Lamborghini Aventador. I have not this is not a copy of anything. This is a one-off. This is my Torero Vittoria. If you're a Lamborghini aficionado, you would know that Lamborghinis are named after winning bulls. So this is a Ford Crown Victoria ex-Buffalo police car that was retired. I named it the Torero Vittoria, which in Spanish means the bullfighting Victoria. Why? Because it's not really a winning bull, but it's mine. Now, I did base clear this part, getting ready for the quarter glass. This is kind of the final color of this car. I base cleared around this. I thought I had the glass ready to go in. I was going to urethane it in and whatnot. But the glass, although it's cut and it's inside the car, the glass is plate glass, and that is not flat. Although the glass I have cut is flat, so I either have to plexiglass them or I have to find a way to heat the plate glass up without breaking it and bend it so that it matches that, which I may try, because otherwise I can't use that glass anyway. So it would be cool to have that glass in that condition. So I appreciate everyone watching and commenting. I wish Lambo looking like a Ninja Turtle at the moment. Yes, I would agree with that. Hi, Sky Life. Scott C5 Vet. Measure twice, cut once. Yeah, I'm more of a cut once, measure, I don't know, 15 times. We do things a little backwards here, but that's okay. It's called, close enough for government work. Jay DeVille is here. I mentioned him. My name's Jay, too, by the way. Pirate King, you're going to swap, going to wrap the kind of hood, warp it. Yeah, that's all right. That's what they make body filler for. I was adjusting it with a sledgehammer yesterday. You missed that. How to adjust a Lambo hood. I was trying to find that to cut it out of my live stream yesterday because, I thought that would make some good viewership. Adjusting a Lambo hood with a sledgehammer. It was on the other side. This was kind of high, and the gap was probably a half inch. Half-inch difference between here and here. So I had to hit down here. I have hidden hinges. This is my hidden hinge design. It's basically a clevis pin. I got washers welded in place on the inside and outside, and the hood goes, it has to pivot here. I couldn't use regular factory hinges because below this, it's so tight on everything. It just had to pivot there so that this whole monstrosity would operate. But that being said, the hood does now work. It does now latch, and obviously we just welded these pieces in. I got to grind that all out. And then I got to build the same thing on the inside of the fender, but that's going to go down and over to give it the rigidity and strength, plus to cover the gap. So when you look down in there, you'll see, like a regular car, you'll see a hood gap, but then you will see the color of the car on the inside lip. So that's how that's got to go. And then now the factory hood latch is hooked up, so I can just pull, if I can find it with my hand, pull the hood latch, and the hood unlatches, and I'll show you where I had to modify the hood to. Now it goes up, and it doesn't oil can anymore because we welded that lip in. So this is a 4.6. I did paint up some of the pieces, although this would be a frunk on a normal Lamborghini. This is, I'll show you what I did with the hood latch. I cut that into the radiator core support and moved the latch back because the hood latch was right in the gap of the hood, because Lamborghinis have this design with the notch out. Once again, I did not want to copy a Lamborghini and make a horrible copy of a real car. This is a one-off. This is my design. I shortened the frame in between the axles on this ex-Buffalo police car, Ford Crown Vic, and by doing so, created my own thing. Now, I didn't talk about this. These are Ford probe doors. So, granted, a Ford Crown Vic is a 4-door car. I needed a 2-door car, and I needed thin doors because, in my opinion, when I was at Porsche, every car that was a supercar that came in had 3 things that made it look like a supercar. When we had Ferraris and Lambos and stuff come in, even Porsches. So the first thing is, obviously the loaded ground, but first thing is the windshield's got a wicked angle going backwards. Porsche is a little less. My neighbor's got a Viper, that's less obviously, but with a Lambo and a Ferrari, the windshield's at a wicked angle. It's number one. Number two, they all have a flat top to the door because of the design of the body. And number three is the rear air scoop going into the brakes. And I'm going to put air scoops in here, fresh air, to feed the turbochargers on either side. So that's the plan. I do have a glass cut for back here too. I got to paint that all in, urethane in the glass. And then I got to build a louvered, essentially, trunk, tailgate, whatever you call it, engine cover, which is, there's no engine there, but I got some 5-cylinder intake manifolds from a Volvo. I figured if I got 2 of those, I can make it look like a V10, even though this is a stock Ford V8 twin turbocharged. So let me get to some comments. It's not a kit, it's a one-off. The chassis is a Ford factory Crown Victoria. Less wind resistance is true, Jay, with the windshield cut back. I got the car height pretty far down. I think it's at 51 inches. And when we measured my neighbor's Viper, I think he's at 50 inches. So I figure it can look the part. It's a little taller, but I'm 6'5", so, and I have a tough time squeezing in this thing as it is. So no rules, just compromises, as I've been saying. You know, it's not perfect. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I get it, but it's what I can do and what I can afford to have a supercar for my midlife crisis. So here we are. If you click that like button, I really appreciate that. We're at 30 likes. If you're new in the chat, click a 1. This is an old cop car, Husky Life, or High Sky Life. It is an ex-Buffalo police car, Crown Vic P71. It was a 4-door. Oh, let me show you. So my idea. So I'm like, okay, I'm taking a 4-door, making it a 2-door, and I took 11 inches, 10 inches out of the frame from here to here. For some reason, 9 3/4 inches seems to be the number I have in the back of my head, but it's been a few since I did that. So I cut the factory weld where the rear frame loops go over. I have this all on the video I got posted. After I cut the factory welds, I slid the rear hoop section out, and then I measured all the marks where the welds were, put it 9 and, let's say 10 inches. We're just going to say 10 inches in. I measured that all out, marked it all out, and then I cut the frame 10 inches back on both sides, and then I slid the rear frame channels back together, jigged the car up on jack stands, measured it all out, squared it up as best I can in the garage, and then re-welded the factory weld to the new location. And then I had the factory 5-inch aluminum police car drive shaft taken to the drive shaft shop, which was Fleet Pride, where when I worked at the truck dealership, that's where we took our drive shafts. They cut, shortened, and balanced the aluminum drive shaft. And now we have, oh, you know what? The other thing I didn't show you. The other thing I didn't show you is now this is dirty, so I hope you don't think this is, I'm not a pretentious, so we got the Ford logo on the Lambo, and if you can see, this is a working column shift. So eventually, I was looking into making it a paddle shift automatic. Originally, when I thought about building my own Lambo, I thought about getting like a old Oldsmobile Tornado front-wheel drive V8 car, and then taking that subframe and putting it in the rear so that you would have a steering in the front, engine and transmission in the rear, and all the fab work involved with that would just be, I thought it was too much, and it would be a lot harder to find parts. This thing, for the most part, is a Ford Crown Victoria. Most of the working parts are, except the wheels, which are aftermarket wheels, and the turbochargers, which those are kind of bolt-on. So trying to keep it, this is all Ford Crown Vic wiper linkage. I had to move all that up, modify that to make it work. They do actually work. I don't know how well, but it's a Lambo. Are we going to be driving in the rain? Probably not. Who knows how long and how much I'm even going to drive it. You never see Lambos with like hundreds of thousands of miles. It's not like a thing, I don't think. So here's where we're at. So yeah, Jay DeVille says, oh, that's too much. I agree. Cost a pretty penny for a custom drive shaft. At the time, it cost me about $75 because I worked at the truck dealership. I used that fleet account to have the drive shaft repaired, And the only thing, I think the only thing they charged me for was new U-joints and the labor to cut the yokes off, shorten it, and re-weld it. So it wasn't a lot of money. Now it would probably cost you a lot more because that was pre-COVID prices. So and the benefit was being a fleet account, working at the Mack Volvo dealership. We did a lot of business with them, and you know, they're not gonna one-off charge somebody that does business with them all the time. At least it hasn't been my yeah, well, we got to adjust the hood a little, but it does work. It's just, you know, just part of doing business. So anyways, I'm going to show you the Ford probe doors. So as I said, this still needs work, so, and don't judge me, but we are making progress. There's a lot of dirt in there. So Ford probe doors. So now you'll see kind of we'll have to make a big wide sill plate to cover up all this mess because I took Ford probe door frames, door seals, doors, all out of the Ford probe that was junk. So I got Ford probe door right here. I think it was a Ford probe GT. It doesn't matter. But it's got Ford probe windshield or windows, window regulators, all that stuff. And the factory wiring is sticking out there. I got to connect the two factory wiring. So obviously, if this was full frame the way it was, the rear door would have ended like right here. That's all gone. The roof's all gone. I welded in you can see it. I got a steel mid plate. I got the rear frame. I got a dry. I can't talk right now. It's too early in the morning apparently. I got a roll cage or at least roll cage tubing. I drilled through the frame, welded that top and bottom, teed it off so it give this strength all the way across because I cut the roof out of the Crown Vic, and that's where I got it. So the rear glass will mount. This is where the side windows will go. This is my own stuff. I bent this, pinch welded it all the way around, and had glass cut for this, but this has got a little bit of an arch because this attaches to the door frame from the Ford probe, and the glass I had cut was plate glass, so we either got to find a way to bend the glass, which it is possible, but I don't know if it's possible for the money. Oh, look at, I'm telling the story and Saturn is sleeping in a box in the Lambo because the cats love this car. We got a stray cat that lives in it in the wintertime when it's this cold. So we'll let her sleep. She's old. So like I said, this is all stuff that needs adjustment. It's a little, fits, but it's not perfect. I have the Ford probe mirrors. Obviously they're power mirrors, power locks, power windows. It'll all be Ford probe. But I'm going to make the mirrors have the Lambo honeycomb style look to match the look of the Lambo, right? So, and like I said, I did not want to copy an actual Lamborghini. My favorite is the Lamborghini Aventador. You know, if I had all the kinds of money in the world and wanted to buy a Lambo, I'd buy that. But I don't. So here we are. And I didn't want to copy an Aventador, and people would say, oh, you got a crappy looking copy of an Aventador. I just wanted it to look like a Lamborghini, put some Lamborghini badges on it. 90% of the population won't know the difference. And I know the difference. You know the difference. It's all right. It's just for fun. That's why the channel is Fun with Cars. If we were serious with cars, we'd have a different channel name. So that's how that goes. So as I got the other side of the hood to do, we'll weld it up. Then we got to start working on the lips of the fenders. And then I got to do all the adjustments. And we got to get this perfect so I can cut the lenses for the headlight buckets perfect. We have some headlight work to do yet. I know Ages Adventure loves when I talk about the headlights. I got to put vents in here. Now this is three layers of carbon fiber, hand laid with epoxy. First time using carbon fiber. It was actually pretty decent. It reminded me a lot of fiberglass, like fiberglass matting and resin. But allegedly, it's stronger. I know when you drop welding slag, you probably won't be able to see it, but a bead of welding slag fell in here and burned itself in. That is now a permanent part of that headlight bucket, but we still have to sand it out and clear over them. And I did put this, so this is all dusty, but it kind of gives you, that'll be nice, shiny and perfect. How much are you going to see it through the lens? I don't know. But I put a $1 coin in the headlight bucket. Why? Because the supercar guys love that kind of weird stuff. I have no idea why. Everything that they do on their cars is pretty weird. Oh, this one's got porcelain, porcelain knobs or whatever. It was on a Bugatti. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but they thought it was the coolest thing. Plus, most of those guys don't race their cars or drive them fast. They drive them for the looks and the image, and the big thing for them is pulling in a parking lot and revving. Oh, they're revving. And that just means that they're, they back up to each other, they rev and pop, and people think that's cool. I don't know why that tune is popular, because it makes a lot of noise. They mess with the ignition timing, and just doesn't make sense to me, but that's okay. This is not for everyone either. This is not everyone's cup of tea. But it's mine, and it's pretty low budget, as you can see. I think it will clean up and look the part. Obviously, you will be the judge of that. So, you think 50% know the difference between an Aventador and a custom Lambo? I still think it's different. I don't think that most people, if I polled them that are not car people, I would give you that. Car people. But I'm just talking general public. 90% don't know. Oh, Bronson's Revenge says, awesome car, thank you. Jay DeVille says, I've seen someone catch a Lambo on fire rewiring the motor. Well, that definitely is a possibility, especially when you hook a positive to a ground wire. They become toaster ovens. Amy Churchill, if I'm saying that right, I hope so. Hi, how are we doing today? I can't remember back in the old school days, very different back then as kids. 1988 cars back then were cool, best years. I had a 1988 Jaguar XJS V12 I have saved on this channel. I bought that during COVID for $490 and a roll of toilet paper and a half a bottle of hand sanitizer. It was kind of a funny story. I didn't really want the car, but I did get it, got it running and driving. So I did have a V12. Now I just need a V16. I have a 3-cylinder Mitsubishi. I call that my supercar. Parked in the other bay. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but that is my other supercar. Is over there. My first brand new car. So anyways, that's what we got. Wow, we're at an hour already. Can you believe that? I need to see the end result first. Well, I wish I could get to the end result. I really do. I wish I could get to the end result first, but unfortunately, we're still in the building process. We had 115 people just then watching. We had to get to... This is amazing. I appreciate everyone stopping by and coming in. Yeah, so I like the videos where they show the before and then after, and I don't have the patience level to watch through all the stuff, quite honestly, myself, so I can appreciate that. I don't understand the revving of the engines in supercars and, hearing them pop and all that. First off, I don't think it's good for the engine because it's not under load, and freewheeling an engine is never a good thing. But the other thing is, it just seems ridiculous. They don't ever race them. When have you seen, I shouldn't say that. When they race them, they put YouTube videos up of them racing, but have you ever seen a Lambo on the street in the wild, like street racing somebody, like at a stoplight? I don't think it really happens that often. Even the Lambo lady, you know, she might have a pull on her car, you know, taking it down the highway. She's got some aggressive tune and a loud exhaust. But it's not like you're pulling up to somebody and racing everyone on the street, because quite honestly, a kid with a turboed up Civic probably would beat a bunch of Lamborghinis and Ferraris from a stoplight. The cars are light, they're pretty bulletproof, and they can really, So Angry Honky said Lambos are slow. I tend to agree. You know, it's more for the look and the prestige than anything else. So that's why I figured this project would be perfect for that. Lambo Fugazi. My wife calls this the Fogini. So, yeah, depends on where you're at. Yeah, definitely depends on where you're at. I wish I could, hate that car. Hoping back for, oh yeah. Give me a stock Buick Grand National. I did have a Buick Grand National, Muskoka. I did have a Buick Grand National that I bought when I was at the Oldsmobile Subaru dealership, where I started life in the car business 20-some years ago. And they took a Buick Grand National in on trade. It was in better shape than the one that I looked at that week. Somebody was selling on Craigslist at the time for $4,000. And that Buick Grand National, they took in on trade for $150. And I came in to work. I saw it parked there. That is a car that I always wanted. And I told them, I want that car. How much did they take it in for? They're like $150. I'm like, I want it. We, at that time, could buy, not through the dealership, but through the wholesaler. They would do the paperwork through them to take care of the liability. So I bought a $150 Buick Grand National. As you can imagine what condition it was in. It was not in great condition. I don't want to prompt it up. I think I posted a picture of it on my channel, but it was a Grand National. I always wanted one. I got it fixed up, running, and driving pretty well. And then I had a kid with 3 of his friends in his WRX blow the doors off of that car. And I said, okay, I'm all good. Now that car, I did a Carfax a few years ago. That car's still hopefully around, but it was last registered, I want to say, in the Columbus or Cincinnati, Ohio area. So that car hopefully is still around. That was a Grand National. It was stock. It wasn't a GNX. GNX, I think, is where it's at. Those were like pretty rare back in the day when I was a kid, though, too. So anyways, this is my one-off Lambo. That's, you know, rare to me. Yeah, Jen said you kind of don't see street racing anymore. Yeah, I think it's you know, people are too wise to the dangers of street racing, things that can happen. I mean, there's a couple of local situations around here where kids were street racing, and granted, I was a kid once, and lost control of the car and killed the girl he was riding with. That happened. Well, it happened a while ago, but you know, those things kind of happen. So street racing is not really cool. Drag racing in general has kind of died off. I mean, even the local track just doesn't get the people, doesn't get the participants. I mean, younger kids, like my kids' generation, they don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't do this stuff. You know, you get your hands dirty. When I was a kid, we wanted to do this stuff. We hung out together. We, you know, raced. We did everything. But kids just don't do that stuff anymore. You know, they'd rather buy a Tesla. And I don't want to get in an electric car debate. I'm not a huge fan of electric cars, but I have driven a bunch of them at work and when I was at the car dealership, and you have to drive one once in your life, especially something fast, because electric cars are insanity in terms of speed and performance. They are like all the torque now. It's like 100% power immediately. And that's what makes them so fast. But there's a lot of downsides, and those are never talked about, especially, I don't want to get into politics, but they never talk about the downside. They weigh more than a 1-ton pickup truck. They tear tires up. They tear roads up. They do a lot of stuff. Yeah, the torque is definitely crazy. My wife had never ridden in a Porsche, so I had to do a PDI test drive on a Porsche Taycan, which is their electric Porsche. It was a Turbo S car. So I asked where the turbo was for the electrons. They didn't have one, but I brought it home to take her for a ride in it, and that car was like 0 to 60 in, let's say, 2.2 seconds. I forgot what the spec was. It was insane how fast it was. The salespeople got it up to like 100 miles an hour in like 5 seconds in like a very short distance. And they're like, you're going to need a special license to drive these things. And a Tesla Plaid and all that stuff, and whatever other high-end electric cars are even crazier in terms of speed. But we're at 107 minutes. I want to thank everyone for coming by and watching that. I might go live later and do this other side. We'll see. But if you click the like button, I really appreciate that. If you subscribed, I really appreciate that. Jen, as always, our wonderful mod, is here helping out all the time, unannounced. I made this live stream unannounced, and she joined us. So, George Jackson says, yeah, instant power. Jay DeVille, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here, Jay. That's a great name, by the way. You know why? Because that's my name. He says, the drive for Amazon, the bands they have at torque, then, yeah, your 5-liter. You're right. The torque is insane on electric cars. Insane. But I'm going to tell you, there's a driving experience for all the power. Like, the power and the torque and the pushback in the seat feels like you have a... Oh, thank you, Hi Sky, for subbing. The torque and power feel like you have a supercharged big block under the hood. The driving experience is muted because there's no sound. And I don't care what anyone says, the sound from a V8 engine, whatever engine, when it roars, that is part of the driving experience that people just don't get from electric vehicles. Although the electric vehicles are fast. I'm not taking that. If no one's ever driven one, I really implore you to drive something cool like that once. And not to say I would ever, I did try buying a Nissan Leaf once just for a work commuter, because we had free electric charging at work, and I figured, well, if I bought a Nissan Leaf and I drove it to work, it wouldn't cost me any gas money, and the range, it was an old car, so it had depleted range to like 50 miles. Would have been perfect for a daily commuter. I could plug it in at work to charge it and, drive it home back and forth. But I never did that. I just thought about it. So, yeah, Jay, definitely need the sound from the engine to give you the full driving experience. They tried doing that with the Jaguars. The Jaguar I-Pace, when that came out, and I was in Electrify the Pace training out in Southern California, they showed us how you pipe the sound and you turn the engine sound up. This is my this is my midlife crisis project. This is my Lambo Torero Vittoria that I'm building. This is not a real Lamborghini, of course, and it's not a copy of any Lamborghini. It is a Ford Crown Victoria ex-Buffalo police car that I shortened the frame in between the axles to shorten the wheelbase, welded in, after I built the custom body, cut the windshield at the firewall, moved it forward, put it at a 20-degree angle, welded in, Ford probe doors, and this is where we're at. I'm working on the hood. I just got the hood latch working for the first time, and we're welding the hood edges. We got to get all the body work in line so I can put the lenses on the custom-made carbon fiber headlight buckets. But in order to get the headlights to look the part, really need the body work done around the headlights. So we're getting to that point. I got the hood for the most part done here. I got to weld in the reinforcements down the hood this way to get our heights right. Then we can grind and glass and do all that fun stuff. So, wow, we're at 111 minutes. All right, I'm gonna say goodnight, goodbye. I may come around later, and yeah, it's been. I appreciate Brian. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you coming in, and thanks for watching, and everyone that clicked the like button and subscribed. I really appreciate you too. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Jen. Talk to you later. Bye.